Tony D and little Joan is in the other room, totally pissed at me. I don't know why. Walkie's kind of went sideways. She got tired, and I started carrying her back. And then I'm just like, Joan, I might as well carry her all the way home. And now she's mad. Pfft, females. Anyhow, smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 13. But this is Texas Twister, the trailer, and I had to watch it twice, which isn't a good sign. But it stars John Schneider, Bo Duke, you may remember, as the pastor. And it's about a guy who gets visions that he believes are from God, but he gets visions of a tornado. There's Bo Duke as the pastor. So it's kind of a mildly religious movie, but they bill it as an action movie. I really don't see it as an action movie. At best, I would call it a drama, maybe a thriller, because of the impending doom of the twister. But they say it's an action movie. I'm not seeing a lot of action in this. And I'm not sure, but somehow, this is his wife, the main character's wife, and the main character, they have 2 kids. One of them has disappeared. It also stars Noel G, but who gets a credit, but the main guy doesn't get a credit in this. It's an odd trailer to me. John Schneider gets a credit, and he absolutely deserves it because he's like the biggest name in this. Joan, shut up. Very bad dog today. And like, he seems to be doing all the heavy lifting. Why didn't he get a credit? And Jamie gets credit. I don't understand. John Schneider gets a credit. How does the main character not get a credit? It's just weird. It's called Texas Twister. I mean, it looks okay, I guess. It's kind of hard to tell. It attempts to give you enough sound bites to tell you what the movie is, but it doesn't really succeed in that. I had to read the synopsis in order to figure it out. And then I looked it up on the IMDb, even after I read the synopsis, hoping for a more detailed synopsis. And I mean, because all it says is, a small town worker believes he's seeing visions from God in the form of a violent tornado. So I guess the tornadoes you see in the trailer aren't real. He's just seeing them, which can excuse possibly cheap CGI, because I think this is a low budget thing. However, I mean, there's some drama going on here, but I don't know. I think it needed a voiceover, something. So first act, I guess his son disappears or is kidnapped or whatever. Possibly they're taking him away because of Child Protective Services, but I don't think it's that. I think he's dead, or I think he's been kidnapped. And the stress causes him to see the visions, maybe. Or at least that's a partial explanation. So he's having a crisis of faith, and he goes to his pastor. He's not really getting any answers. And then somewhere in the second act, late in the second act, he decides to take matters into his own hands and either get revenge or try to get his son back. And then the police are called, and it kind of goes sideways. I'm going to guess that in the end, since this is a semi-religious movie, he either finds God and God takes him through it, and it's not great, but it's okay at the end. Like, he doesn't ruin everything. He manages to salvage his life. Or, since they bill it as an action movie, perhaps he goes after the bad guys and kills them, and then gets his son back. It doesn't seem like it's that kind of movie, though. It's very weird they would call it an action movie, because it just doesn't seem like an action movie to me. I guess it takes place in Texas because it's a Texas twister. Or he keeps seeing visions in Texas, maybe? Maybe it doesn't take place in Texas. I don't know. This trailer brought up more questions than answers. And that's not good. A trailer needs to be clear, I think. Or it needs to be so enticing it doesn't matter if it's clear. But either way, the whole point of it is to let us see something of the movie so we can decide whether or not we're going to see it. So, if it's confusing or it's not clear, a lot of times, an actor could carry it through. Like John Schneider fans. Yeah, okay, they'll see the movie, but what about the rest of us? Like, I'm a fan of John Schneider, but I'm not just going to see everything he's in. Just tell me a little bit about the movie. So it's not a good trailer. I have to call it a trailer fail. It's not that it could be a good movie. It could. I mean, I kind of like the premise. It's different, There's not a lot of... I shouldn't say there's not a lot of religious movies, but this is being billed as an action movie, but it has a religious bent, which is different, right? You don't see a lot of that in American movies. So, it could appeal to the audience. There is an audience for religious movies in this country. It's not being fulfilled by mainstream Hollywood, so low-budget actioners like this can fill in the gaps and do pretty well. I mean, if you look at The Sound of Freedom and other movies coming out of Angel Studios, they're doing pretty good. So this movie could be good, but if you're going to bill it as an action movie, I think we need to see some action. Like, action. I'm not seeing that here. So I think the description's wrong. I think the synopsis needs more. And I think the clips don't really put it together. I mean, to me, it's a drama about a guy who loses his son and then has to deal with it and his family. And that's not a bad pitch for a drama. I mean, you've got the couple, they still got a kid, so it's agonizing. He still has to go on with his life and still make a life with him and his wife and his kid. So that there's a lot of drama in that. Because, he's hurting inside. He wants to do something, but he has to keep going because he still has a daughter and she needs him. And can you overcome that? Is the question. I don't think you can overcome that using action. Karateing and shooting guys isn't going to help you overcome that necessarily. Unless he gets his son back. But yeah, I don't think that's happening in this movie. It's hard to say. But, maybe the Duke boys will solve it all in the end. That's what I would like to see. So, would I see it? I'd have to get more info. It's just like, if you're going to put out a trailer, it should tell us what's at stake. I'm not even sure what's at stake here. I only know about the whole visions from God because of reading the description. You don't get that really from the trailer. Not really. A little bit, but not really. It's not clear to me. The dialogue should be clear. Even if you have to, and this is a tip, filmmakers, even if you have to shoot scenes that get cut from the movie, you should have some pretty forward, straight lines delineating what the hell is happening. Like, I'm seeing visions of a tornado, and I'm questioning God. I mean, that's not a bad line for a movie like this, because that's what the movie's about. You don't have to get clever with that. You need straightforward lines like that, especially when you got a concept that's a little hard to swallow, right? You want it to be clear. especially in the trailer. Even if you have to do, again, even if you have to do a voiceover that's not in the movie at all, that's not misleading. It's different if you make up dialogue and then you cut it out in the movie. That's a little misleading, you might argue. But if you have an announcer, they used to do this all the time in the 80s. Just tell people what the movie's about. I say, just straight up forward. This is Dan. Dan is having visions of terror. A Texas twister. Are these visions from God? And then you intertwine it with some actual sound bites from the movie. Is this a vision from God? I don't know what I'm seeing, Pastor. Or is this a vision of hell? I mean, if it's an action movie, that wouldn't be totally out of line. Anyhow, it's called Texas Twister. I think it's going right direct to video. I think it might get a minor release either through, like Angel Studios did, or that limited release thing that they're doing now with some of the movies. What the hell is it called? I forget what it's called. I don't know. They got a name for it, but Angel Studios did that, and it snuck in the movie theaters, but it's only at a limited time because it has the religious audience factor. So there's an audience for this. Yeah. Okay, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan, Bad Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more bass takes. I was on TV today. The show will be airing Tuesday, my understanding, after Christmas. And it's called All Things South Jersey. It's on Roku and Apple TV. And it's from RVN Television. It's also on their website. It's not up yet, but I will link it soon. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.